Pizza Hut just lost 68 restaurants in a single administration. Over 1,200 jobs gone, and it's still closing. But here's what nobody's telling you. Pizza Hut isn't alone. Right now, the restaurants where you celebrated birthdays, where you took your children and grandchildren for treats, where you marked every milestone of your family's life, they're vanishing from high streets all over the UK at a rate we've never seen before. 49 restaurant businesses went insolvent last year alone. That's up 19% from the year before, and industry analysts are predicting over 6,000 more will close in the next 12 months. So I investigated. I wanted to understand which chains are disappearing, and more importantly, why. Because what I found isn't just a story about restaurants. It's a story about what's happening to the UK. Let's start with Pizza Hut, because this one just happened. October 2025, administration 68 dining-in restaurants closed permanently. 1,010 people lost their jobs just weeks before Christmas. If you're over 40, you probably remember what Pizza Hut used to mean. That distinctive red roof you could spot from the road. The stained glass lamps casting warm light over checkered tablecloths. Those red plastic cups everyone swears made drinks taste better. But the real magic, the salad bar, you'd queue up with your plate and the challenge was on. How high could you stack it? Parents secretly pleased their kids were eating vegetables. Kids secretly competing to build the tallest tower of coleslaw and sweet corn. It wasn't just food, it was an event. Birthday parties at Pizza Hut were the gold standard. The ice cream factory where your children created their own desserts. The arcade games in the corner. The moment the waitress dramatically placed that steaming pizza on the cork mat, cut the first slice, and served everyone at the table. So, what killed it? The dine experience couldn't compete with delivery? Domino's captured 50% of the UK pizza delivery market, while Pizza Hut's sit-down restaurants became expensive relics. Why pay $15 to $20 per person to eat in when you could get pizza delivered for less? But that's only part of the story. The franchisee running those 68 closed restaurants faced $4 million in additional annual costs from the autumn budget alone. National insurance increases, minimum wage rises, energy costs that tripled. The margins simply collapsed. Frankie and Benny's, where every birthday happened. But Pizza Hut struggles pale compared to what happened to Frankie and Benny's. At their peak, there were 261 Frankie and Benny's restaurants across Britain. Today, roughly 50. That's an 80% collapse. Now, here's something most people don't know. Frankie and Benny weren't real people. The entire backstory, Frankie Giuliani arriving from Sicily in 1924, meeting Benny in 1950s Little Italy, New York, those sepia photographs throughout the restaurant. The whole romantic mythology completely invented. The chain was founded in Leicester in 1995. But you know what? It didn't matter because what Frankie and Benny's actually delivered was real. Those birthday parties, the celebration Sundays with staff singing, the birthday crowns, the red vinyl booze, perfect for family gatherings, the dim lighting and checkered floors that transported you somewhere that felt special. For parents raising kids in the 1990s and 2000s, Frankie and Benny's wasn't just a restaurant. It was where birthdays happened. The retail park ritual was carved into British family life. Shopping, then Frankie's, then maybe the cinema. The collapse came from reckless overexpansion. 261 sites without maintaining quality, a failed rebrand trying to chase millennials that alienated loyal customers. And then the parent company bought Wagamama for $559 million, while their core business was bleeding out. They literally paid $7.5 million just to offload Frankie and Benny's. The buyer paid $1 for the chain, £1 for a brand that defined British family dining for a generation. Café Rouge, the Parisian dream that died. If Frankie and Benny's decline was dramatic, Café Ruiz is almost complete extinction. At their peak in the 1990s, there were 110 Café Rouge restaurants. Today, 7, maybe 8, and 5 of those are inside Center Parc's holiday villages. That's a 93% collapse. Café Rouge is functionally extinct. For those of you who remember, Café Rouge represented something aspirational. Wicker chairs and zinc bars that transported you from Basingstoke to Boulevard Seaman. Steak frais when that felt exotic. Wine by the glass when that was still revolutionary for British chains. Proper French coffee instead of instant Nescafé. It was affordable continental sophistication. The Bridget Jones lifestyle made accessible. Weekend brunches with newspapers feeling genuinely Parisian. So what destroyed it? Private equity. Café Rouge passed through 5 different owners, each one loading it with more debt. Whitbray bought it, sold it. Then it bounced between Trauss, Blackstone, Apollo, and KKR. By the time it collapsed, what promised Parisian bistro culture delivered chain mediocrity with frozen ingredients. The 93% death of Café Rouge isn't just a business failure. It's the death of a very British dream that we could have Parisian café culture on every high street. Beefeater becoming hotel rooms. Now, let's talk about something that's happening right now that you might not have noticed. Beefeater, Brewers Fayre, Table. These Whitbread restaurant brands have been fixtures of British life since 1974. Sunday lunches, anniversary dinners, post-cinema meals, the prawn cocktails with Marie Rose sauce, the unlimited salad bar with warm, crusty rolls. Last year, Whitbread announced 126 restaurants for sale and 112 being converted, not into new restaurants, into premier and hotel rooms. 5,500 jobs affected. The restaurants that made £9 million in losses are being replaced by hotel rooms projected to generate 30 to 40 million in profit. The economics are brutal, but honest. Whitbread's CEO admitted their restaurant brands are arguably not strong enough against the current consumer backdrop. They're squeezed in the middle, too expensive compared to Wetherspoon, not good enough compared to gastropubs. So the places where you celebrated exam results, where grandparents took grandchildren for birthday treats, where you stopped on holiday journeys for a proper meal, they're literally being converted into hotel bedrooms. One food blogger captured it perfectly. Remembering childhood Beefeater visits. We went there for birthdays, anniversaries, post-cinema dinners, to celebrate Nan making it out of the hospital, and to commemorate her death. Those life markers are being replaced by Premier in rooms. That's not just business, that's erasure. Harvester, the salad bar betrayal. Speaking of salad bars, let's talk about Harvester, because this one isn't about closures, it's about betrayal. Harvester still has around 165 locations. They're stable, but something changed in 2022 that loyal customers have never forgiven. They switched the salad bar from self-serve to staff-serve. Now, that might sound minor, but listen to what customers actually said. It feels like the death of a great British institution. I don't like having to point and ask for my scoops of coleslaw. You have to understand what that salad bar meant. When Harvester launched in 1983, eating out in Britain was largely restricted to basket meals in pubs. The open grill and unlimited salad bar was genuinely revolutionary. For a generation unused to restaurant dining, unlimited food felt extraordinary. Those warm, crusty bread rolls, the million different sources, especially the legendary Red Devil. Building a food mountain and testing your skill keeping the gravy from spilling. It was abundance, autonomy, trust. And when they took away the self-serve, they took away something that defined the relationship between Harvester and the customers who'd been loyal for 40 years. As one writer put it, Harvester might be a bit crap, but it's all ours. That loyalty is being tested like never before. TGI Fridays, the Friday feeling that faded. Remember when TGI Fridays felt like the most exciting place in Britain? At their peak, there were 87 UK locations. The Covent Garden restaurant was literally the busiest TGI Fridays in the entire world, pulling $180,000 in weekly turnover. Today, 49 locations, a 44% collapse, and it nearly died completely. September 2024, administration, 51 sites saved at the last minute for $9.55 million. The company that owned them had destroyed itself trying to acquire an American restaurant group for $177 million. Shares plummeted 96%. The business was delisted, but the real death was cultural, not financial. TGI Fridays arrived in Britain in 1986, bringing something we'd never seen: flair bartending, theatrical cocktail preparation. Tom Cruise actually trained with TGI bartenders for the film Cocktail. They invented loaded potato skins. Long Island iced tea was born at TGI Fridays for young professionals in the 1990s. This was where weekend freedom happened. Date nights, singles scene, the first official happy hour concept in Britain. The red and white striped circus theme and Tiffany lamps felt like being transported to New York. Then you took your own kids there for birthdays in the 2000s. The staff singing the birthday song, the exotic Americana that still felt special. But 38 years later, what was once novel became dated. Let's talk about Chiquito. 80 restaurants at their peak. Today, 10? That's an 87.5% collapse. For many British people, Chiquito was your first Mexican food experience. Before every supermarket sold fajita kits, before Oaxaca and Chipotle arrived, Chiquito was exotic. And nothing matched the moment those fajitas arrived. The smoking hot skillet, the dramatic sizzle, the server warning you, be careful, it's really hot, the smell hitting your table. It was multi-sensory theater. The frozen margaritas in oversized glasses, the sombrero on the walls, the piatas hanging from the ceiling, the party atmosphere that made every visit feel like a celebration. For people in their 20s and 30s during the 1990s, Chiquito represented adventure, trying something different when different still felt daring. Before food culture became competitive and judgmental when you could just enjoy a fiesta without authenticity debates, now there are 10 left. 87.5% gone, and with them, an entire era of British dining. Pizza Express middle-class aspiration in debt. Pizza Express hasn't collapsed yet, but the numbers are terrifying. 360 UK restaurants still open, but £40.7 million in losses last year. A £35 million debt crisis looming, credit rating downgraded, sales falling. This matters because Pizza Express represented something specific in British culture. It was middle-class aspiration made accessible. The marble tables, the contemporary architecture. When Pizza Express arrived in your town, it signaled the area was on the up. The kids' birthday parties where children wore striped chef hats and made their own pizzas. The jazz clubs in some locations where you could expose your family to live music. The dough balls with garlic butter that everyone, adults and children alike, were obsessed with. Pizza Express was where early relationships happened. Date nights that weren't too formal, but felt sophisticated. Previous owners loaded the company with £1.1 billion in debt. Now debt service consumes the profits that should fund innovation and quality. Competition from independents and fast casual chains offers better value. If Pizza Express falls, another piece of accessible British sophistication dies with it. Toby Carvery Sunday tradition under threat. Toby Carvery has 158 locations and serves 21 million meals a year. They're stable for now. But what Toby represents is something sacred. The British Sunday roast. By the 1980s, fewer families wanted to spend 3 to 4 hours cooking Sunday lunch. Toby Carvery offered all the tradition with none of the work. The theater of it. queuing while the chef carved meat right in front of you, watching thick slices of beef come off the joint, asking for extra crackling on your pork, the unlimited vegetables, the hand-rough roast potatoes for extra crunch, fresh Yorkshire pudding served crisp and piping hot, proper thick gravy from meat drippings, building that food mountain on your plate, testing your skill, keeping everything balanced, going back for seconds because you could. For around 10 to 15, a family of 4 could eat a proper Sunday roast for 40 to 50. Where else offers that value? Toby Carvery faces the same pressures as everyone else. £100 million in additional costs from the budget affecting their parent company, energy prices, staff shortages. But they've survived because the Sunday roast tradition is carved into British identity. The question is, for how long? Greens, 33 years destroyed by greed. I've saved this one for last because it's the clearest example of what's really happening to British hospitality. Simon Rimmer. You probably know him from Sunday Brunch on Channel 4. What you might not know is that he opened a small vegetarian restaurant in Manchester called Greens back in 1990. He bought it for £2,000 with a $40,000 bank loan. Over 33 years, Greens became an institution. First vegetarian restaurant in the Good Food Guide, Boea Rosette winner, turning away 600 bookings per week at their peak, a training ground for Master Chef winners. Then, in January 2024, after 33 years, the Deesbury restaurant closed. September 2024, the sale location followed. The reason? The landlord increased rent by 35%. Energy costs had quintupled. Food costs up 30%. Staff costs rising. Rimmer's words, heartbreaking day, felt like I was in mourning. Manchester's night economy advisor called it the tip of the iceberg. Let me be absolutely clear about what happened here. A restaurant that thrived for 33 years, that turned away 600 bookings weekly, that was profitable and beloved. That restaurant was destroyed not by failure, but by a landlord who demanded 35% more rent, and a government that charges 20% VAT on restaurant meals while supermarkets pay nothing. Simon Rimmer did everything right for 3 decades, and it still wasn't enough. These aren't just restaurants closing. These are the places where your life happened. First dates at TGI Fridays, children's birthdays at Frankie and Benny's, Sunday lunches at Toby Carvery, the salad bars where your kids actually ate vegetables, the celebrations that made ordinary families feel special. Energy costs tripled, rent increases of 35%, food costs up 30%. £3.4 billion in additional costs hitting the sector from April's budget. A VAT rate of 20% that European competitors don't pay, and 300,000 hospitality workers who left during the pandemic and never came back. Which one of these would you want to survive? Which closure would hit you hardest? Drop your memories in the comments. And if you want to watch a video like this one, click the video on the screen. Thanks for watching.